Hello everyone, I'm Trudy. I'm One Grounded Angel, and this is your weekly angel card reading for the week April the 11th to 15th, 2016. So last week we had a lot of stuff about romance and relationships, and the ways that we open up to people and making sure that we're doing that instead of trying to hold ourselves back and self-protect against hurt. And in particular, there was a big focus on stuff from the past that we're still holding on to, past hurts that are limiting us in the future and beyond, and really wanting us to challenge that so we can open our hearts more, which is what we're here to do, right? So let's go ahead and see what is in store for us this week. I'm going to start with this beast of a deck. It's 88 cards. Lots of fun to shuffle. So this is for Monday the 11th. Awesome. This is really encouraging. Queen of Gabrielle, and this is all about following your dreams. Yay, really encouraging us to go after what we want and letting us know that we've got the ability to do that. So Archangel Gabriel is the one who was the messenger in the Bible. So she's associated with communication and creativity. She's a good one to call on if you work in any field where you have to be creative or do a lot of communication and you've got writer's block where you're just really struggling for ideas. Ask Gabrielle for help. I do that all the time. I'm a writer. She helps me with my writer's block. So really, I mean, if you look at the text, you can do anything you want right now. Go after what you want. I mean, it's really great stuff. It's what we all need to hear. So go for it. And let's see what is coming up on Tuesday, the 12th of April. Let go of fear now. So we talked a bit about fear last week in regards to relationships, but this is speaking more generally about fears in our lives, although it could include your fears around relationships and connecting with people. So really look at where you're feeling like you're holding yourself back, and ask yourself if there's a fear attached to that, particularly if it's a fear of success or a fear of failure. And that can manifest as things like procrastination, complaining, criticizing other people, because when we're happy and satisfied, we don't tend to criticize other people because we're happy. It's often a reflection of how we feel about ourselves. So really look at where those fears are and work at letting them go. So there's lots of meditations on YouTube you can use. If you Google meditations releasing fears, you might find helpful. Meditation is helpful for, well, I say that about everything. Meditation is helpful for just about everything, every problem you could ever have, because it helps you return to that place of stillness within and reminds you that you've got the resources to deal with whatever is thrown at you. So this is challenging the fears, and ask your angels for help as well to combat your fears. This particular deck I'm using here uses the guidance of Archangel Michael, and he's associated with courage and strength. So he's a good person to ask if you really need help getting through fear blocks and getting rid of your sort of anxieties and getting past, I should say, your anxieties and those obstacles that you've put in your own way out of fear, because fear never goes away. So don't ask for fear to go away, because that just can't happen. Ask for the resources to overcome it. The only way to get through something. Hang on, the saying is the only way out is through. Yeah, got there in the end. Basically, these situations don't go away on their own. You have to go through them, and that's when you need the strength to do that. And that's when you realise that you can handle it. So that's also really encouraging this week, and we'll see Wednesday now. Actually, I'm going to use a different deck. Sorry about that. They were just telling me that I wasn't feeling quite right. So there's something in this deck for Wednesday they want me to talk to you about. Heart chakra. So heart chakra is energy centers around the body where it's hard to explain briefly, but basically that's where energy moves through, our life force energy, our kundalini, our chi, our prana, whatever you want to call it. So that gets blocked by fear. There's obviously a pattern forming here. So the heart chakra is the place in which we give and receive love. So if we've got blocks there out of fears, out of past experiences that have really hurt us, and that holds us back. That means we don't, like I was talking about when I started this in regards to what we got last week. It's all about being hurt and how that makes us kind of really self-protect and not open up, which is what you need to do in a relationship, isn't it? Even in your friendships, you need to open up and be vulnerable. That's how you grow. So the heart chakra gets blocked by grief and loss. So that could be grief, a bereavement. It could be grief over a loss of perhaps even a job or a situation. And it could also be a loss of a relationship or anything like that, but also regrets that you have about how things have panned out. So we're really repeating what came up last week. So it looks like some of you are still struggling with this sort of stuff. I think there's a relationship. There's a relationship with fear. The card that came up yesterday is saying. It's really talking about the sorts of fears that are affecting the way that we respond in relationships that we have now, and in the ways that we are blocking ourselves up from future relationships. That could even be working relationships where we can really prosper from a relationship where an opportunity is handed to us. We need to be open to those opportunities. Fear keeps us locked down and really sort of self-protecting. So fear is a strong theme here already. And now Thursday, it's the 14th of April. Soulmate. This is so like last week, isn't it? So this talks about, well, we know what a soulmate is. I'm sure you know. Everyone, popular culture talks about soulmate is this relationship that's destined for you. So spiritually speaking, your soulmate could be from a past lifetime that's come back again, or sometimes soulmates can also refer to people that we have a soul connection with, but not necessarily romantically. However, this card they're definitely saying is a romantic relationship. So if you are in a relationship with your soulmate already, yay for you, because you would already know about that. Your intuition would have already told you. But they are reminding you to make sure that you really nourish that relationship. What can you do today to really kind of spend time with that person and really let them know how special they are to you? It's also one for, again, same as last week, the singletons letting you know that there's a soulmate relationship out there for you. Make sure you're doing everything you can to be ready for it, which is tied to these fears. We need to let go of our baggage to open up. You can't be burdened down with old stuff. Sometimes we have this idea that meeting the right person will just fix everything, but you need to do the work on yourself. Someone else is not going to come along and magically make all your anxieties and all your hang-ups disappear. You've got to do it yourself. So, and that doesn't mean changing yourself completely. It means getting to a place of acceptance with who you are as a person, making peace with how things have played out already in the past, and letting go of regret and remorse about those sorts of things. So they're also saying if you're holding on to an old relationship where the relationship is over but you're sort of emotionally tied, they want you to kind of address that in some way. You don't need to talk to that person, but really look at the way that you are thinking about that person. If you are holding them on a pedestal in your mind and really kind of seeing them as the best thing you've ever had, they're saying that's not true, because if they were, you'd still be with them. The relationship's finished because it ran its course. Spiritually, we never talk about failed marriages or failed relationships. Relationships last as long as they're meant to, and then they come to a close, and that's it. There's no failure involved. So if you were meant to be with that person, you still would be, but you're not. The relationship has run its course, so you need to let it go and open up for the next one, which will be better because you've learned the lessons. So Friday, it's the 15th of April. This is interesting. Ascended Masters. This is getting into some spiritual kind of out there stuff now. Ascended Masters are like a level of spiritual beings who like teachers who've walked the earth. So this is very much religious stuff, but you don't have to be religious to really benefit from the teachings of Ascended Masters. So Buddha, Jesus, the saints, all those sorts of people who have literally walked on the earth. They're not just angels or spiritual beings. They're actually spiritual leaders who've taught us in the past. So this card comes up for people who are feeling a strong connection to one of those masters and asking you to really foster that connection. Now, I know for a lot of you listening to this, that won't apply to you. You probably have never thought about that before, but just pay attention to your intuition. If you feel like you're getting guided to read about a particular religion, say if a Buddha quote comes up for you, and that may be all it is, just a particular quote, they're saying there might be something in there for you, some lesson that you need to learn. You don't have to go and become religious at all, because spiritually speaking, institutional religion is not that important. What's important is you being kind to people and you loving other people. That's what we're here to do. You don't need to become religious, although if you want to, that's totally fine too. Whatever form of spirituality that feels right for you is what's right. So I've gone a little bit off topic here, but what I'm saying is the Ascended Masters have connections with us, and if that calls to you, then you should look into that. If it doesn't, that's okay, but there's always an opportunity for us to be listening to our intuition and learning from people. You don't have to be part of a religion to gain lessons from that religion. I know personally for me, I don't go to church, but I have, there's lots of religions that have really influenced my personal belief system, and I'm not one for following rules, which I guess is maybe why institutional religion hasn't worked for me, but certainly some of the teachings and I guess the lessons have resonated with me. So that's a very specific one. So I always sum up the week and the themes. We've still got love coming through as we did last week, and that might be because we've had the new moon in Aries. Now, Aries is a sign of the zodiac that's all about playfulness and fun. And of course, as you know, relationships prosper when we are having fun and we are opening up and being spontaneous. Obviously, you can't do that all the time. That's not how a relationship works, because they always go through struggle. But we let go and we live in the moment when we are being playful and having fun. So those are really good kind of themes to work with if you're struggling in your romantic life. And not to take it so seriously. So we've got some strong encouragement about following our dreams and to really not letting our minds be limited. If you find yourself saying that could never happen to me, that just wouldn't work for me, really challenge that, because the sky's the limit. Whatever you want to achieve professionally, personally, you can do it, they're saying, but your mindset is key. We've got to let go of fears. I know this comes up all the time, but that's part of the human experience. We're subject to fear. It's sort of an ego trick we play on ourselves, but the angels don't understand that. They can see all the possibility for us, and they know there's nothing to be afraid of. So that's why they keep reminding us, which is a great lesson. I've just realised this reading's a lot longer than previous weeks. I'm sorry about that. It looks like a lot of great stuff this week, though. I just want to talk about these two here. So when I started on Wednesday, I was shuffling this particular deck here, which is the Healing of the Angels deck, and they gave me a strong message to stop and switch. They wanted this one to come up for you guys first on Wednesday before we got this one, and you can see how closely related they are. They're both about romance. So the heart chakra, the heart chakra is all about opening up, same as last week, all about the limits that we put on ourselves in terms of opening up to love and to deepening our relationships as well. It's not just about attracting new relationships, it's about deepening our bonds and strengthening them, and not being on autopilot with other people. So they wanted that first. They really want to address those fear blocks that come through before they started talking to us about this soulmate relationship. So you can see why you need to go through the struggles to challenge the mental blocks that are coming up for you, the fear, before you can have the beauty of this really strong connection. Now, even if you're already in a relationship with your soulmate, it's always going to go deeper, but stuff's going to keep coming up because that's, again, the human experience. So you can see what's going on here. We've got the struggles and the reward. So the order is very deliberate, and that's why they asked me to change the order in which I was shuffling. So we finished the week on a bit of a random note, the Ascended Masters, and I know, as I mentioned, this isn't going to resonate for everyone, but I always say, even if something doesn't resonate with you, just just let it simmer away at the back of your mind, because these cards are deliberate, and you're watching this for a deliberate reason, that you need to see this reading. I know you're interested, and that's probably why you're watching, but there's something in here that you need to know. And that may not be right now, today. It might be later down the track, but they just want me to introduce this idea to you, because we're all here to learn. It doesn't matter who you learn from. And I've written a blog post recently about people I don't like, how they teach me a great deal. So it's important to be open to learning from a lot of people, and learning is one of the great gifts of being human. Education is a wonderful thing. So look for that learning in as many places as you can, and be open to ideas that come through from places that you might not have expected. So that's it for the week. Now, my social media channels are, I'm on Instagram at One Grounded Angel. My Facebook page is called One Grounded Angel. You can email me, onegroundedangel@gmail.com, if you have any questions or you want a reading. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks everyone for watching. Sorry it's a little bit longer this week. Hopefully it was worth it. There's some quite big themes coming through here, so I've tried to explain them without rushing it too much. But if you need more depth and more information, I'm always available. My job in this life is to share the messages of the angels, so I'm happy to do that with people whenever they ask me to. So if you want more information, you know where to find me. Thanks so much, and have an awesome week, guys.